Now that the battle between the strongest is over, everything going forward, I'm very optimistic and honestly excited for. Not that the Gojo vs Sukuna fight wasn't exciting, but it lasted 3 months, including the breaks in between, and we knew the outcome of that fight before it started. Let's be realistic now. But JJK is truly in a state where, ironically, it might be in his best, and that's when it's chaotic. But it still feels like it's organized chaos, which already lets me know Gege is about to cook in these upcoming chapters. Before we get into Kashimo vs Kuna, there is one thing that I was very excited to see open in the chapter. We got this huge piece of ice coming from the sky. It almost looked like an ice meteor. Mind you, cloudy skies, and it started to snow, especially around the time when Gojo was killed. So maybe Uraume has been building this up ever since she knows Sukuna could win. She builds up this ice, and by the way, they actually gave Uraume a nickname, the Frozen Star. I rocks with it. Even though she's really in the background, I like it because I am one who thinks that Uraume is going to have a big fight, and I was definitely right because the boy coming in is Hakari. You see the J's on, you see he rocking the Jordan 1s. I don't know which ones, but I'll let you know now. The boy comes down, and Uraume has no interest in him whatsoever, but Hakari can't let her get in this. He can't let her get in between Kashimo versus Sukuna because he made a promise to Kashimo that I'm gonna let you get this fight with Sukuna and let you have your big moment. So I'm gonna step in and stop Uraume, and he pretty much encloses her within the domain as the ice falls to the ground. Now Hakari versus Uraume is a fight that I had a feeling was definitely gonna happen because we know it's gonna be Yuta versus Kenjaku at some point in the story. Probably Yuji and maybe some other people. I am one that thinks it's gonna be Yuji and Megami versus Sukuna. Maki, you know, we'll get to her maybe later, but right now Hakari versus Uraume was something I kind of expected. Not to mention, if you look at some of the panels and just the way Gege draws, he really likes abusing Hakari's immortality when it comes to his gruesomeness. And then looking back at when we first seen Uraume use her ice in Shibuya, it looked pretty gruesome, pretty dangerous in terms of how dangerous her ice was, especially when it comes to like even peeling off some skin. Gege's definitely going to experiment with Uraume's ice formation and Hakari's jackpot immortality. I really cannot wait for it. I'm excited. We're finally going to get that big fight with Uraume, and this is clearly Hakari's biggest fight till now. And this time we're going to have Hakari who's not trying to just subdue someone. He can really potentially kill Uraume. I mean, that is the goal. I'm looking forward to either, I guess, bloodlust of Hakari. I don't know if that's gonna be a thing, or at least Hakari that's trying to end somebody. I hype all the way. Hopefully Gege does not make this man die. And it's very ironic how Hakari and Kashimo, they do parallel each other. How they're both in situations where realistically both of them can die in these fights. It's pretty cool. The Yorozu treasure that Sukuna was given is finally revealed. And first of all, this is so extra, but actually pretty hard. The fact that when the ice block drops to the ground, it's melting, so then it just starts to rain, and then it reveals itself as the cursed tool known as Kamutoke. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but that's what I think it is. And we've seen this cursed tool before, this cursed weapon. It was in that color panel with Sukuna back in the Shibuya arc where Gege showed off his full form, and the other two cursed weapons that I guess he used to wield back in the Heian era. And the Kamutoke, pretty much an ability that sweeps down lightning bolts. But luckily enough, Kashimo is immune to anything that has the properties of electricity due to his cursed energy being electricity itself. So he pretty much just absorbs anything like that. You see how they tied in luck with Kashimo too? Like, I'm telling you, hey, this Hakari Kashimo dynamic might be top tier. But Kashimo asked Sukuna about how he became the strongest. Did he earn the title, or was he simply born with the power to take that title? Sukuna responds by saying, who knows, I was born a cursed, unwanted little wretch. That much I can say. This is the closest we're probably going to get to a Sukuna backstory in a while because Gege finally gave us something, and this is actually exactly what I predicted. Can I tell you what video it is? I don't know, but I'll put it somewhere and you have to figure it out. But Sukuna's backstory, I always had a feeling. First of all, he always parallels Gojo when it comes to power. Gojo was born with the power of the limitless. He was born to be that strong. He just had to learn his power, and he was just going to have it on lock. Sukuna, on the other hand, from what his words is and from what I'm predicting, he had to gain that power from the mud. Not to say that he started out as a bum, but more so that his ability was probably shunned by other people, and then over time he embraced what he was good at and then just started to take it. Instead of being someone who wanted to protect others, he just wanted to rule and gain that title. And the other thing about him is Sukuna adapts to his surroundings. He adapts to his opponents depending on who he is. Sukuna and Gojo, he had to adapt to Infinity in order to overcome and finally get rid of him. In this fight, he is going to adapt and overcome Kashimo's lightning while also using the Kamatoke, which we'll get into that later. Kashimo asks, how are you able to connect with others? And pretty much asks Sukuna, how can you respect and love others when they are weaker than you, yet you can't resonate with their weakness? From Kashimo's brief backstory of how he made Kenjaku and made the vow with him, you can see all the dead bodies and carcasses left behind from Kashimo's battles. As he sits on that little stump, he only thinks about the strongest. Even Ryu, when proposed, wasn't a satisfying bet for him. Kashimo's entire life and purpose is about at least reaching the pinnacle and wondering how far can he go with his power. This second chance at accomplishing that goal means everything to him. He then asks the king, is strength solitude or is the endless search for greater power simply a cross the strong must bear alone? I almost don't know if that's like a translation error, because I know it sounds like he meant to say curse instead of cross, but we'll just go with it either way. This question, we've already seen it before about, strength and solitude. We got that theme a lot. But the whole thing about bearing that curse, or that cross in this case, of trying to gain greater power, I feel like this is a thing where it's really a mentality of trying to be the greatest, trying to be the best, in this case when it comes to being a sorcerer. More so it's almost like a curse, as in they curse themselves into wanting to continue to gain power. Even if there's really no real true meaning behind it, just that aspect of being able to hone every type of sorcery, even if it's something as a simple domain or your curse energy or a curse technique, or understanding how far you can go with curse energy, like incarnating yourself in another human being, whether it does come with some drawbacks or not, or understanding binding vows. That whole thing, I think that resonates with Sukuna because he understands that Kashimo is relatable to him. They both want to reach the pinnacle of Jujutsu sorcery, although a little different. He can admire that, but it's almost coming to a question, will doing this bite him in the ass? Sukuna states how greedy Kashimo is for this knowledge, and probably how quick he came to challenge him for one. Even saying you both asked for so much, in reference to Gojo, and he asked Kashimo to give him his best shot. Alright, it's finally time to get into this curse technique by Kashimo. Kashimo, after he lands a couple strikes on Sukuna, I ain't gonna lie, he was dogging him for a little bit, cause bro, he was rocking him. Kashimo activates and releases his curse technique, Mythic Beast Amber, and delivers another strike, 2-piece to Sukuna. And notice how his mouth starts to form, his curse energy is roaring. And in this, I will say from just the start, this technique is going to look way better in color and whenever it's animated, which ain't gonna be anytime soon, just because drawing pretty much white on top of white because of the light, because you got to make it portray the lightning, that's a tall task to ask and make it look kind of good, but it still looks pretty solid. He does look like a savage beast, so I give it to him there. But Mythic Beast, Kashimo transforms his body, rendering any phenomena, any attribute of electricity, a weapon in his arsenal. So if Sukuna was to keep using that Kamatoke, he will be powering up Kashimo, increasing his agility by activating his brain's electric signals, optimizing and tuning sound waves to match the natural frequencies of materials, vaporizing irradiated objects using electromagnetic waves. Kashimo's body has surpassed mankind. A bold claim, but from a realistic standpoint, he's like a wild beast that can blast you awake with an explosive sonic boom, but lightning now. His body will crumble after using this stuff, which is a huge drawback. I think I might even predicted that too, because of the fact that it is a binding vow. He put himself with a binding vow. I don't know when, maybe as soon as he reincarnated himself, that he would use his curse technique on Sukuna. You know they had to have a huge drawback to it because it's going to be extremely powerful, which we all knew Kashimo was going to die after this fight, because after this he serves his purpose, but he's definitely going to go out with a bang. And this ability must be extremely loud, as even Sukuna is like, man, this shit is kind of loud, just with every electric blast that Kashimo is letting out. One of these panels, he looks like a complete cursed spirit, the way that he's moving. You see the claws from his hands, the jumping, his mouth. He doesn't even look human. His flesh is probably nothing but electricity at this point. And after building up that electricity, he does launch one of his powerful zaps that just completely destroy that whole little area that Sukuna is in. And we know how powerful they are. But in another big reveal, we finally get to see it. It states that apart from reverse curse technique, Sukuna has a method of restoring his body. One he can only use a single time, which is pretty interesting. A method he had been intentionally suspending this whole time, resuming his transformation through means of incarnation. The man has his full body. It's over. He got his full body, 4 arms. Sukuna is here, and he don't look like Megumi. I guess this is his true form. The hair, everything, he does resemble Yuji a little bit. Which that is a theory in its own that I'm not gonna dabble into, but we've all seen that theory before. This is what I love right here. So I don't know what's gonna happen. There's like a weird part of me that feels like Kashimo is either gonna lose, depending on how it goes. Because first of all, this is the first time I think that I can remember Gege has 2 fights playing out at the same time, and not just the same time. He's basically in the same area. So I wonder how he's gonna storyboard and kind of like how he's gonna do this, where he's gonna have both fights take place, because normally he just does one fight at a time. Like right now he's probably, based on his track record, he's gonna do Kashimo versus Sukuna first and then show Hakari versus Uraume. But what I think is going to happen is, considering Hakari's domain, once he wins it's going to be shattered, so Hakari and Uraume are going to be somewhere unless he changes the coordinates of his domain again, then he shifts it to somewhere else. So just that aspect alone is going to be really interesting to see how Gege writes this. But I have a feeling with full form Sukuna is not going to be wasted, and I feel like the first fight with him in this form is going to be epic. I think this is going to last all the way until 240, include the Hakari Uraume sections, because now I want Kashimo to have this big thing, because it's called the Mythic Beast Amber, and I feel like there's going to be other forms, I will say, of this ability, to where he kind of renders and manipulates his energy into different kind of mythical beasts, hopefully, at least, because the fact that it just says amber, I don't know, maybe that's just a part of some Japanese folklore and I'm just not hip to, not educated for. But hopefully there are maybe like another form of this that I would look forward to. The first thing that came to mind was like a bird or a lion, so who knows. As for Sukuna, I don't think he's going to use any 10 shadows, of course. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's probably going to still beat Kashimo with the Kamotoke, with the electricity. My only thing is, what if he uses the electricity, keeps zapping him, because he's realizing the more power he's getting, the faster his body will crumble. That could be an aspect. But with the fact that they said that any phenomena is going to be pulled into Kashimo's body with this form and be part of his arsenal, I have a big prediction that Hakari and Uraume, because it's already cloudy outside, it's already got some snow, so water is developing in the air. What if Hakari and Uraume somehow, some way, inadvertently create a lightning storm? Or maybe Kashimo himself does it, but somehow, some way, a thunderstorm is going to take place and lightning strikes are going to hit the ground and they're going to go directly to Kashimo. And remember, lightning is the strongest form of electricity in the world, because it can literally kill you from just one zap. Now imagine if you give that type of natural power to this Kashimo form, we're looking at something incredibly dangerous that might blow up what's left of Shinjuku. But I'm incredibly hyped for both of these fights. Let me know how you feel about everything that took place in this chapter down below. JDK is really on a legendary run right now. Don't forget to subscribe too. Peace.
How I got my shirts and things back in